President Emmanuel Macron of France is attempting to ban fake news in the lead up to the next set of French elections. So here's a snippet of what he said.
J'ai décidé que nous allions faire évoluer notre dispositif juridique pour protéger la vie démocratique de ces fausses nouvelles. Un texte de loi sera prochainement déposé à ce sujet. En période électorale, sur les plateformes Internet, les contenus n'auront plus tout à fait les mêmes règles. Comme vous le savez, propager puissamment une fausse nouvelle sur les réseaux sociaux ne requiert aujourd'hui que quelques dizaines de milliers d'euros et peut se faire dans l'anonymat complet. Les plateformes se verront ainsi imposer des obligations de transparence accrues sur tous les contenus sponsorisés afin de rendre publique l'identité des annonceurs et de ceux qui les contrôlent, mais aussi de limiter les montants consacrés à ces contenus.
Terrible idea. Terrible idea. Deeply against... Well, in the U.S., we have the First Amendment. They don't in France, of course. But the whole idea is you can't trust the government to regulate the people whose job it is to call out the bullshit of the government. Very simple, very straightforward, undoubtedly correct. Now, there is a downside to that. The downside to that is you get Alex Jones. You know, you have some Alex Joneses out there, you have some World Net Dailies out there. That happens, there's no doubt about it. But in my mind, that's not an overriding factor. That means that you should have regulation of the news media in a way where they control speech and they determine what is and isn't fake news. Because I have news for you. What's Macron going to do? What's his government going to determine? Just like any outlet, they would be more likely to determine stories that portray me in a negative light are fake news. I mean, that's part of why what Donald Trump says all the time, it's totally egregious, is that I'm going to do the fake news media awards, I'm going to point out the worst in media. But, asshole, everybody knows you're biased. Everybody knows that any story that's against you, you're likely to say is fake news. But that's not true. It's not that every story that's written against you is not fake. In fact, most of them are probably true. Some of them I don't think are true, but most of them are probably true. But he would just say it's all bullshit. In the same way, I think Macron and his cronies, it would be the same thing. He's not above it. He's not above regular, standard human nature impulses of, oh shit, you're painting me in a negative light. And now I've given myself the authority to soften that blow. You know, hey, even if I don't ban you, maybe I'll label you fake news. Maybe I'll say you have to have different transparency guidelines. No, there really should be. I think the only system that makes the most sense, it's the least bad system, is basically a wall of separation between government and media. You know, we have separation of religion and state, separation of church and state. We should have a separation of media and state. Where, yes, you're going to have some terrible, crazy fucking crackpots out there, but the net benefit of letting people have free reign when it comes to free speech and a free press is that they're going to hit the mark a lot of the times too, you know, and they're going to expose the crimes of the government, and they're going to expose how biased they are and how corrupt they are. I mean, think of some of the reporting on, you know, for example, the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. How we learned, like, the bailouts of Wall Street. Oh my God, the people on Wall Street paid bonuses with your tax money to people who crashed their companies. So Wall Street, the ultimate welfare queens they are. Well, you had reporting that exposed that. If you gave the government in the United States the ability to control media and regulate media when that was happening, what would they have done? Would they have been cool with those stories, painting them as the biggest tools in the world to Wall Street, biggest corrupt sellouts ever? Would they be like, yeah, show how we're just total sellouts and we're turning our back on the American people and how we're all going to get wiped out and not get reelected as a result of this? No, they would have been like, fake news, something, regulate it, more transparency, label it something else, cut the funding. They would have tried anything to stop it. Which is why you need to allow, you know, the total freedom of the media, freedom of the press. So I totally disagree with this approach from Macron. I don't know if he's thinking about this in like a nefarious way up front, where he's saying, I can't wait to control the media, or if it's just going to be a byproduct of him saying it and he's going into it in a naive way. But either way, it's a terrible idea and the outcome is dangerous, and it's this big-time slippery slope too. You know? I mean, just think about who gets elected and who runs the government. It changes all the time. So even if somebody, for example, was comfortable with Obama controlling the media and filtering the media, well, then you have to ask yourself, okay, but then are you okay with Trump controlling it when he gets in? And on that point alone, everybody should come to the same conclusion. You're going to allow the same government that makes these fucked up choices to determine whether or not the media can report on those fucked up choices. And even if it's a president you trust, you have to think about, well, what happens when one I don't trust gets elected? So, bad idea.